welcome everyone to the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show presented by Two Hats Ranch. I'm the voice of the Bulldogs, Rob Butley, along with Sandy Golston. So we get set for the final game, hard to believe, of the regular season, Senior Day this Saturday, as the Ferris State Bulldogs play host to the Davenport Panthers in the Culver City Classic. First of a 3-year series between the Bulldogs and the Panthers here in West Michigan. Should be another outstanding game here this Saturday afternoon.
Well, it's always exciting to play Davenport. It's one of those backyard games and a rivalry that's been coming on. And not only do we see the rivalry in football and of course, now it's going to be named. There's going to be a trophy in play. But it's really across all the sports. And so it's really a fun rivalry between Ferris State and Davenport. And again, a lot of recruiting battles and just the proximity just helps add to it. And then you got subplots like Coach Sparky McEwen being a former Bulldog assistant, former Bulldog quarterback. So just a lot going on between these two schools. 9th all-time series matchup this Saturday afternoon, a 1 o'clock kick again at Top Taggart Field between Ferris State and Davenport. Bulldogs have won all previous 8 meetings between these two teams, but Davenport, one of those programs that's got better and better, climbed into the national picture, and last year, obviously, a top 10 matchup between these two teams down in Caledonia. Yeah, I mean, Davenport is a program that's been coming on, and we knew that once Coach McEwen got in there that he was going to do a good job, and he really has. And he's really they got that defense going pretty early, and then they continued to add some pieces offensively, and they became pretty dynamic offensively as well. And so, but football is the puzzle is constantly shifting, and you got to keep adding new pieces to replace the old pieces. And Sparky's done a good job of that with that program, and Coach Corchinese has been able to do that as well. And so it should make for a really fun game. Again, Davenport's been one of those upper echelon teams in the GLIAC, and I expect that to continue. It's going to be a really good game.
Got another great show for you here on the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show. We'll hear from Ferris State University punter Ethan Sossen, an Australia native, in a great segment here today. Of course, we'll take a look at the Davenport Panthers. We'll also update you on the GLIAC and the national scene as we get ready for this final regular season road game. A lot at stake. Ferris State still number 1 in Super Region 3, number 1 in the D2Football.com national poll, and eyeing a 10th consecutive playoff appearance when the selections are made on Sunday.
Well, obviously, there's so much on the line for the Bulldogs, and they put themselves in this position right now to be where they are, a chance to potentially get a first-round bye, and let's not sell short a chance to win a GLIAC championship. And that's something that I think is really important to a lot of these Bulldog players and coaches and fans, because that's eluded us for a couple of years now. And so that's going to be really important too. And that's the first thing that you got to do to take care of business and, to get past a really good Davenport team. If the Bulldogs do that, they put themselves in a great position, not only to win the GLIAC, but to remain at the top of Super Region 3. And if you're at the top of Super Region 3, that means you're a pretty good football team.
A lot of teams around the country really kind of focus in on some of those trophy games. This is a 2-trophy game, a GLIAC championship trophy, and also the Culver City Classic. I had a chance to see the new trophy, at least some photos of it that we'll have on social media later in the week. But beautiful new trophy that the Bulldogs hope to put in the trophy case, at least for the next year.
Oh, yeah, you definitely are excited about that. You mentioned it, potential 2-trophy game here for the Bulldogs, and they would love to. There's a spectacular trophy case out here in the sports complex. And, they'd love to add a couple more pieces of hardware to that case.
Ferris State coming off an exciting win on Saturday, 27-24 over Saginaw Valley State at Top Taggart Field. And the Bulldogs had a 10-point lead at one stage in that third quarter. A couple key turnovers allowed Saginaw Valley to kind of get back into it. Fortunately, they missed the tying field goal in the fourth period of play, and Ferris State kind of able to run out the clock from there. And the Bulldogs held on to get another big win over the Cardinals.
Yeah, we expected that Saginaw Valley was going to be a good team coming in here, and they were. They were a top 25 team, and they played like it. This is a program that's on the rise. We talked about Davenport, Saginaw Valley, another team with actually led by another former Ferris State assistant coach, Ryan Brady. That is a program on the rise, and the Bulldogs had to really overcome some things that did not really go well in their favor, maybe a couple of misplays here or there that could have maybe broken the game open, but give Saginaw Valley credit for fighting back. Bulldogs had some penalties that were kind of costly as well. So some things to clean up. As coaches, they're always looking for what can we clean up, what can we point to from the film of last week to be better for this week. And so some things that the Bulldogs can point to, but hey, it's also good to be able to do that coming off of a win. And that's what was most important for the Bulldogs, to get a huge win over Saginaw Valley.
A little bit of an abbreviated show today. Of course, we have Ferris State basketball here on this Wednesday evening. At Wink Arena's Bulldog basketball season well underway. We had 10 home events this past weekend, a crazy weekend in Ferris State athletics. But fortunately, Bulldog football did its part, got its win. And that momentum really kind of carried over into the other sports on Saturday.
Yeah, it was just a crazy Saturday. And Friday was only maybe slightly less crazy, but Friday was pretty crazy. Saturday was pretty crazy. But what we saw overall, Rob, was a lot of Bulldog success. And I think that's something that we really feel good about. And, when you're putting in all that work, and it's really great to see the student athletes be able to achieve some success. And so that's really what it comes down to. That's really what it's all about.
Fortunately, a little bit slower here on campus this Saturday as we've got Bulldog football that'll kind of take center stage during the day. For most of the day, it'll be senior day for the Bulldogs. They'll honor another good group of seniors coming up before the opening kick. So a lot goes into this final game of the regular season, not only with the playoff implications, the championship implications, but senior day and last home game for some of these Bulldog seniors.
Well, I think when you look at this senior class, and you're still honoring young men that were a part of national championship teams, and that says something. So those are young men that are going to be forever linked to some of the greatest achievements that we've seen in Ferris State athletics history. And so really, saying goodbye to them in a sense is always difficult. It's always emotional. But the best way to look at it is that you're thanking them for everything that they've contributed to this point, and what hopefully they will continue to contribute as they hope to extend their senior seasons as long as possible.
I had a chance to interview Coach Anissa here earlier this week on the Ferris Sports Update TV show. We talked about senior day. He goes, well, the good news is there's not a lot of them, so that means we should be pretty good next year. But obviously the focus right now is for this group of seniors and sending these guys out the way they want to go out.
Yeah, coaches are always thinking ahead to what's going to be on the roster in the future. But that is a good sign that the Bulldog football program continues to reload. But at the same time, I know that he would love nothing more than to be able to send those seniors out with a big victory at Top Taggart Field over Davenport to secure that GLIAC championship, have a chance to celebrate on the field, not only with the GLIAC championship, but hopefully the Calder City trophy as well.
Certainly, Ferris State with a win probably secures that number one seed in the bye in the first round of the Division II playoffs. You never do know how the math will shake out, but Ferris State holds on to the number one spot in the Super Region 3 rankings again this week. Super Region 3, obviously one of the top regions, if not the toughest region in the country, and that's been clearly evident here in recent years.
Yeah, I think the Bulldogs have put themselves in a good position, Rob. When you look at the regional rankings that came out this week, the Bulldogs still pretty solidly in there. They increased their going to continue to increase their strength of schedule. Davenport, I think, will help that a little bit. And so the Bulldogs feel pretty good about where they are right now. And the thing is, all you can do is win. If you win, that's the most you can do, and then you hope that your body of work is something that's going to carry on. But so far the last couple of weeks it has, so you hope that will continue this week if the Bulldogs can get this win over Davenport.
Of course, Coach Anise kind of said that in his post-game show the other day after the win over Saginaw Valley. He talked about how hard it is to win here in college football, and especially in the GLIAC. And he was kind of relieved to get that win on Saturday over Saginaw Valley, and I think it's going to be much the same this week, taking on a very good Davenport team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very similar. And it's sometimes your success really creates expectations, and so you forget sometimes that there are some really good football teams in the GLIAC, including Saginaw Valley, which we got past last week, and then Davenport comes in. Looks a lot like what we saw at Saginaw Valley. I mean, Davenport, very good defensive team. They can be opportunistic offensively. They're very well coached, as we would expect, with Ryan Brady at Saginaw Valley and Sparky McEwen at Davenport. So I would say, really, for fans that aren't maybe as familiar, you're really looking at a similar type team to what we saw in Saginaw Valley.
Of course, earlier in the year, I think we had the bye week, and I had a chance to listen into the Davenport Central Missouri game being played down in Caledonia, and that game went to the wire. Davenport had plenty of opportunities to win that contest, and right now Central Missouri, one of the hottest teams in the country, so certainly that speaks to what this team is capable of doing.
Yeah, Central Missouri is they are playing some incredible football right now, and as you mentioned, Davenport went toe-to-toe with them, and the scary thing about Davenport is that they can lock you up in a low-scoring defensive struggle, but they've shown at times that they can put some points on the board, some big points on the board and score. So, again, a very dangerous team that has proven against some good competition that when they put the pieces together, they can be really tough to handle.
They're coming off a big win over Northern Michigan, and that followed what was a close setback against Saginaw Valley State, a 24-14 game before Ferris State played Saginaw Valley. So certainly this team was right in the mix here just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago in terms of competing for that conference championship.
Yeah, and they're going to play hard. I mean, and that's one thing that we've seen with Davenport teams. They have an ability to go on the road and be successful as well. And so that's something that, you have to be conscious of that they're going to come in and they're going to play well, and they are not intimidated by going on the road and playing. And so you mentioned competitive game against Saginaw Valley, competitive game against Central Missouri, two of the better teams in the country. And certainly, as you mentioned, with Central Missouri, right now, one of the hottest teams in the country.
Ferris State right now a one-game lead over Grand Valley State atop the GLIAC. And I know Coach Anise, when I interviewed him the other day, kind of said that, going into this game, Ferris State a one-game lead, he's not sure anyone around here wants to share the title with that other team.
No, I think this is one that you want to claim this one outright, and for many different reasons. But getting that GLIAC championship trophy back after not really being able to feel it for a couple of years, I think is going to be really sweet. To get it exclusively will be outstanding.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more of the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show presented by Two Hats Ranch. And welcome back, everyone, to the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you. We're joined by Ferris State University punter Ethan Sossen. And first of all, Ethan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here, fellas.
What's it like for you being at Ferris State, obviously, the last couple of years now, and being a part of the Bulldog football program?
Yeah, I love it. It's been a really fun 2 years. This year's been particularly fun so far. But yeah, it's been unreal. It's been unreal.
Maybe talk about your journey to Ferris State. What brought you to Ferris State, and how did you become a Bulldog?
Well, I was already sort of in the Division II system. Played 2 years at Fort Hays in Kansas. Loved it, and there were sort of some staff changes there, and decided I wanted to go for a new challenge, and into the transfer portal. Had some nice offers, but got in contact with Coach Shuggs and Coach Anise, and sort of went from there. Shuggs has been amazing. He helped get me here. How much he cares about his players and how much he loves us got me over the line. It's really a family environment here, and I really felt that on my visit and hanging out with a few of the boys, and so that's sort of why I made the decision to come here.
Obviously, the team off to a great start this year, 9-1 overall, and a chance to win a conference championship coming up this Saturday, and obviously hoping to get a great spot in the Division II playoffs.
Yeah. Been an unbelievable year so far. Coach Anise always sort of harped on earlier in the year that this was the best team he's ever seen, and I truly believe that. I think we're a better squad than we were last year. We've made some incredible grounds, incredible improvement, and so far this year we've really shown it. So yeah, unbelievable so far. Really excited for the next few weeks in the playoffs.
So tell everybody, because right now people are trying to catch up with your accent. So let's tell people about your background, because I know you had a cool moment at Montana last year where your family got a chance to come and see you.
Yeah. So I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Grew up in Melbourne essentially all my life. Lived in Perth for a little bit. So on my roster it says I'm from Perth, West Australia, but I'm from Melbourne. I grew up playing Aussie rules football like most young boys in Australia. Did a few other sports like rowing and tennis, but mostly Aussie rules. And I sort of got to a point where I wasn't going to play professionally Aussie rules, and I sort of stumbled across the fad where Australians were coming over and playing college football in the US. And once I saw it, and I was like, I really thought, gee, this is something I can do. And I suppose made the decision, joined an academy in Australia, was coached up and made the transition successfully. So, yeah, kind of unreal to think that this is my fourth year playing college football from just really a small idea in my apartment in Perth 5.5 years ago.
Yeah, life comes at you really fast. But you had that opportunity in Montana. Your family, you had some family that came and I think your parents were able to come and see you. What was that like? That experience? Take us back to that experience.
Well, sensational. I hadn't seen my parents in over 2 years, so it was really emotional for myself, and it was really good to have them come and support me and watch me play for the first time. I'd never have them come watch me play, so for them to make the effort to come all the way to Montana and watch us play, and maybe one of the biggest games Ferris has played in besides national championship games was unreal. So really fortunate for them to be able to come over, as well as my grandparents, and really thankful that you guys were able to document it as well. So that was nice to have that Twitter post as well.
I forgot about that. That was awesome. So that's your biological family, but since you've been here at Ferris State, your Bulldog family has been your fellow specialists and Coach Sugars, and tell us about that family.
Oh, sensational! I mean, the way that that Coach Sugars and his family have brought me in, whether it be Thanksgiving or just after games, catching up and saying what's up, it's been unreal. Especially the boys as well. Mitch, Sam, who's been exceptional this year, Levi, and Eddie, they were unreal as well. So it's nice to have a family over here that I suppose takes care of me. But I've also got other mates that play college football around the country. So like I've got a mate, Jesse, who plays at Cal Poly. My mate, Tom Weston, is at Washita, who maybe we'll come up against this year. So I've got a nice network around here, and the coaches and everyone have really embraced me as a family of their own. So it's been really lovely.
And you've mentioned Coach Suggs quite a bit, and obviously he's a legend from everything that he did at the high school level, and then bringing that on to college. And what is it about him that makes him special? Because everybody he's like magnetic. Everybody just has those positive feelings for Coach.
It's just his love for the game and the players. It's unbelievable. Like, he shows up every single day with a smile on his face. We're always joking around with him. Just the amount of love that he gives. A lot of football programs are very business. But it's sort of also why Ferris is special in a way, that we are a family and the coaches love us and we love them. But Shug specifically has been unbelievable, the way he's embraced us and we love him there, and he's sort of a real furniture of the program.
And let's talk about special teams, because teams to varying degrees put a lot into special teams, but it seems like Ferris puts a pretty good emphasis on special teams. And obviously Coach Suggs, Coach Rock, and others, they've really done a great job with your special teams unit all over. Yeah.
Coach Anise has put a specific emphasis on special teams, punts like his baby. And it's also where the most things can go wrong. So he puts a real emphasis on it, and is always harping on about net punt. So, when we have the opportunity, which is limited because obviously our offense, Trinidad and all the boys up front do such a good job, our defense as well. But, when we're able to go out and execute, it's been really nice that we've been able to execute this year. And not just on punt, but on kickoff and field goal. Mitch has been sensational, and Sam's also has been as consistent, maybe the most consistent player in our team. So, yeah.
And then what about two punter set? Did you have any experience with that before Ferris State?
No. We've had to shift it a little bit because I'm not great at blocking, which I've learned. But it's worked so far. Mitch has been great when he's been in, and I'm really fortunate to have had a good year so far. So just hoping to keep on keeping on.
It's for you guys as kickers and punters. Obviously, there's competition. It's pretty hard to be an American football player and not be competitive to some extent. But at the same time, you guys really support each other too.
Oh, we love each other. The amount of time that we spend with one another it's ridiculous how much time we spend even on the sidelines, just joking around. But it's great that everyone is performing and doing their best in practice and in games. So really fortunate that we have a really solid special teams unit.
What after the Pittsburgh State game early in the season, and I'm sure you remember them. They were probably a nemesis of yours back in the Fort Hays days. But how did you do against Pittsburgh State back in those days?
When I played at Fort Hays, we lost twice. So I'm 0-3 against Pitt State, which I would have liked to have at least won once. But they had a returner called Dallas Flowers that was it's now at the Colts. Mm-hmm. So I had to punt to him and kept him to 0 yards. So my net punt against Pitt State at the moment is looking really good. So it was really pleased about that.
Well, we're gonna hang on to that, but for you all as a team, you guys really bounce back from that because when you start the season 0-1, that could rattle a team that has really high expectations. What did you think about the way that the team responded? Because obviously you guys have been rolling since.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Anise said something the other day that he was just like, we're just robots. We just come back, we reset, and we go again. We work hard during the week, and I think it's a testament to all of our guys on all sides of the ball, like the ability to put it behind us and just turn a new page. And ever since that game, I mean, like our offense, defense, special teams has been immaculate. So yeah, I mean, we don't really think about it now. We have an opportunity to win ourselves a bye and be the number one team in Super Region 3. So to us, it doesn't really matter, and how we were able to rally on was unreal.
Ethan, maybe talk about coming to America and obviously going to Fort Hays, and now maybe the adjustment in terms of being in Hays, Kansas to being here in Michigan. I've been out there in Hays, Kansas, so maybe just talk about how much different it is here in Michigan.
Well, it's windy. I'll tell you that down there. It's really windy, so punting was not so much fun sometimes. Michigan dealing with the cold. I've never had a winter like I just had, and we're all bracing for another one. But it's something that, as a Ferris State Bulldog, we embrace. Like, I think on the women's soccer locker room, it says, earn the right to play in bad weather. And Coach Anise talks about it all the time. And I think the guys just rally, and like, it's just like one of those things that you accept. You live in Michigan, it's going to be cold, it's going to snow. And since I've been here, just accepting it. I mean, it's different to Australia where it's, nice and sunny and can maybe go for a surf in the winter. But no, yeah.
Maybe talk about the time difference between Australia and the U.S. I know I saw a Facebook post, I think, the other day from one of your family members that was watching the game at 5 a.m. in Australia.
Yeah. Mum and Dad will check the game, check the scores, but it's a 15-hour time difference to Melbourne. So, I have like a 3-hour window, 4-hour window during the day to actually call my parents or talk to people back home. But yeah, it's significant. It's something I had to deal with. Especially flying across, like when I go home and come back, it's, yeah.
Maybe finally, here, just talk about the relationship you guys have, the football team on campus with the other student athletes, and supporting each other at the events across campus.
Yeah, I mean, that's also something that's quite significant about Ferris State, and I'm on the Student Athletic Advisory Committee, and so I get to interact with different athletes from different sports, and it's quite unique in a sense, how Coach Anise and all the other coaches are like friends almost, like we always see the basketball coach out practice, women's soccer coach out practice, and we're always talking to other athletes. So it's unique how we all support each other. We all show up to games and other athletic contests. So yeah, it's really unique, something that I don't think many schools are like. So yeah.
One more question before we let you go. How excited are you for Saturday's game? Obviously a chance to win conference championship and then earn that first round bye and play in the Division II playoffs.
Yeah, would really love to win that. It's obviously my senior day, so my last home game in the regular season as a Bulldog, as a football player. So it'll be emotional, but would love to get the win, would love to win the GLIAC, and I think this is the team to do it. So yeah.
Well, Ethan, thanks for the time. We appreciate you being here on the Bulldog Blitz football show, and best of luck on Saturday against the Panthers.
No worries, gents. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
We'll be back with more of the Bulldog Blitz football radio show presented by Two Hats Ranch after this break. And welcome back, everyone, to the Bulldog Blitz football radio show presented by Two Hats Ranch. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you as we talk about the GLIAC, the national picture here in Division II football, and obviously another big week coming up here as all these teams in Division II head into the final week of the regular season.
Well, there's just so much on the line right now for these teams across the nation, and certainly we're focused on the GLIAC. We're focused on Super Region 3, but when you look really across the board, there are a lot of teams that are playing literally for their playoff lives right now. There are a lot of teams that are playing for their conference championships. And so this is where you want to be. You want to put yourself in a position when you get to that final week of the regular season to be playing for championships.
Let's take a look at the regional rankings that were announced this past Monday. Of course, the final rankings and the selections will be announced coming up on Sunday afternoon. In Super Region 3, Ferris State number 1 with a 9-1 record. Grand Valley State right behind the Bulldogs at 8-1. Of course, the Bulldogs have the head-to-head win over GVSU. Pittsburgh State number 3 at 7-2, which kind of shows the strength of their team. They're the only team with 2 losses among the top 7 teams in the region. Central Oklahoma number 4 at 8-1. You got Washita Baptist at 9-1, number 5. They're right in front of Harding, who they defeated. Harding also 9-1 at number 6. Indianapolis 9-1 at number 7. Those would be the 7 teams in the Division II playoffs if it started today. Right on the outside looking in, Fort Hays State 7-3, Central Missouri at 7-3, and Saginaw Valley still number 10 at 7-3.
Yeah, when you look at Fort Hays, Central Missouri, and Saginaw Valley, 3 teams right now that are on the outside looking in, those are 3 teams that would be very dangerous and very well could win maybe 1 or 2 of those other regions. And so it really shows you how difficult Super Region 3 is. And then when you look at the top, I think really Ferris State and Pittsburgh State are being rewarded for playing that Week 0, that tough Week 0 game. You mentioned Pittsburgh State. They've got 2 losses, and yet they're right there at number 3 in the region. And a lot of it is their strength of schedule. And, that's something that maybe the committee is going to wait. I'm just waiting to see until it happens. You'll see. But right now, the Bulldogs have certainly put themselves in a great position right now to get that first round bye.
I did talk with Athletic Director Steve Brocklebank here earlier today, and he kind of mentioned that if Ferris State holds on, he would expect them to be the number 1 team and earn that first round bye. But a Bulldog loss, and that could really shake things up. He can see the Bulldogs dropping, down there to 5-6, somewhere in that vicinity, depending on what else happens with the other games going on in the region this week.
Yeah, it would be a massive shakeup. And really, when you look at the trend, the Bulldogs have bucked that, if you want to call it a curse, the number 1 curse. They were able to buck that trend by getting past Saginaw Valley. But you mentioned it, the unthinkable scenario that we don't want to consider is what would happen in that situation. But if the Bulldogs can continue to play some good football as they have down the stretch, then they should give themselves a great opportunity to hang on to that number 1 spot.
Let's go back and look at the GLIAC results from this past week in conference football. Scores from this past week. Davenport, the opponent this week for the Bulldogs, they got a big win over Northern Michigan, put up 52 points. It was 52-31 final down in the Grand Rapids area. Grand Valley State with a 20-0 win up in Houghton over Michigan Tech. Wayne State got its first win of the year over Roosevelt, 38-14, big win for the Warriors in Motown. And, of course, Ferris State, the big win over Saginaw Valley, 27-24 in the GLIAC games this past week.
Yeah, I'm going to go in a different direction with this, but really happy for Coach Wheatley and Wayne State to get that win. Actually, a pretty dominant win over a Roosevelt team that, we thought was a pretty solid ball club right there. And so congratulations to Coach Wheatley. Grand Valley goes on the road and does what they have to do, play a good defensive game against Michigan Tech. They were opportunistic, got the points that they needed, and were able to get that win. And then when you look at the 2 games that we were focused on for last week and for this week, give Davenport credit. They went in there and they put up a lot of points. I mean, you put up a 50 spot on the road against anybody, at home, you put up a 50 spot on anybody. That's pretty impressive. And so that's a sign of something that the Bulldogs are going to have to be respectful of when they see them next week. And then, of course, the Bulldogs, great win to get that victory over a Saginaw Valley team, a program that's on the rise.
Let's take a look at this week's slate in the GLIAC. Saginaw Valley will try to bounce back as they host Michigan Tech in the final game of the regular season. Still an outside chance at the playoffs, perhaps, for Saginaw Valley. We mentioned Davenport and Ferris State. We'll talk more about that matchup. Wayne State hosting Northern Michigan as the Warriors try to prevent letting Northern Michigan get its first win of the season here in the regular season finale. And then Grand Valley State making its first ever trip to Roosevelt down in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Of course, we'll make the trip next year to Arlington Heights, but the Lakers will be there here in the final week of the regular season.
Yeah, so it's going to be a new territory for a lot of GLIAC teams that make that trip out to Roosevelt. But you look at this final slate. You mentioned Saginaw Valley with a very outside shot. They need some major shakeups, probably at least in the second half of that top 7. But, the tough thing is that UND is in there right now. And even if they slip out of the top 7 with earned access, if they stay in the top 9, they're going to be in pretty good shape to get in. So earned access is something that complicates that scenario for some of those teams that are on the outside looking in.
Let's take a look at the matchups here from around the country on the D2Football.com top 25 scoreboard. Here this past week, it was Cal PA getting a big win 28-14 over Edinburgh. Kutztown, number 3 in the country, defeated Westchester 31-13. It was 14th ranked West Alabama defeating Shorter 31-6. Minnesota State, number 15 in the country, defeated Mary 49-21. Slippery Rock got a win as the 13th ranked team in the country defeated Seton Hill 38-20. Number 22 Carson Newman all over Tusculum 56-14. Charleston, number 9 in the nation, they roll along as they defeated West Virginia Wesleyan 69-21. Wingate, number 18 in the nation, a 38-0 win over Newberry. The key to the city won by Augustana. The 10th ranked Augustana Vikings defeat Sioux Falls 27-21. It was Central Missouri. We talked about them earlier. They're playing some great football. They knock off number 19 Emporia State and probably eliminate them from the playoff picture. 45-36 win for the Mules.
Yeah, an elimination game, I think, for Emporia State, almost certainly an elimination game for them. And boy, I tell you what, they're probably saying tough time to run into that team. That team is a buzzsaw right now.
Indianapolis keeps its playoff hopes alive. The 16th ranked Greyhounds over Missouri S&T 55-10. Johnson C. Smith, number 25, back-to-back losses. They fall to Livingstone 15-10. Central Oklahoma, number 7, they just hold on to beat Washburn 28-27. Colorado Mines falls to Colorado Pueblo. Pueblo ranked 6th in the country, wins it 28-13. Valdosta State, number 2 in the nation, over Delta State 49-20. 5th-ranked Harding defeated East Central 34-7 in Oklahoma. Ouachita Baptist, number 12, over Oklahoma Baptist by a score of 55-0. It was Western Colorado, number 11, defeating Chadron State 21-17. And Angelo State, number 20, beats Western Oregon 38-15.
Yeah, not a ton of upsets and just a lot of good competitive games and some of those rivalry contests and some of those games with teams that are either in the playoff picture or maybe just on the outside looking into the playoff picture.
Let's take a look around some of the big matchups going around the country this week as we look at the D2Football.com top 25 scoreboard. Charleston, a team that's ranked, will play host to West Virginia State. Kutztown trying to stay in the top 5. They take on California, Pennsylvania in the PSAC title game. Also going on in the nation this week, Hillsdale will be at Ohio Dominican. Hillsdale playing some good football here late in the year. Findlay at Tiffin, a big game with some playoff implications on the line down in the Great Midwest Athletic Conference.
Yeah, I think Findlay is kind of emerged in that conference. Ashland stumbled a little bit, and Findlay has been right there. Of course, been pretty consistent, and I think that's a game where Findlay, if they can get that, then they probably have booked their ticket into the playoffs potentially. I don't want to, you never know, but they would look pretty good.
Of course, Ashland will try to bounce back. They take on Kentucky Wesleyan, a heavy favorite in that one, but Ashland needs a win for sure, but probably some help to reach the playoffs.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need some assistance right there. If they can get a little help from Tiffin, and then they take care of business, then that gives them an opportunity. They're a 3-loss team right now, but still with an outside shot.
One of the unique matchups in the country, the Battle of the Ravine. Ouachita Baptist traveling all the way across the street to Henderson State to play down in Arkadelphia, Arkansas.
That is, I would tell you, if I had a chance to go see one rivalry game in the country in Division II. That's probably the one. No, that's not probably. That's the one I would definitely pick. We were down at Ouachita, and you can look out the Ouachita press box, and you can see Henderson's stadium right there. So that's going to be a great matchup there, and that's a throw the records out the window game.
Of course, Indianapolis, we mentioned in the top 7 in Super Region 3. They'll probably remain there as they travel to Lincoln, Missouri, and the Greyhounds definitely a heavy favorite in that contest. Minnesota State will be at Minnesota Duluth, big game in the Northern Sun. Delta State will travel to Mississippi College, rivalry game that I kind of grew up with out in the state of Nebraska. Nebraska Kearney hosting Fort Hays State. Of course, Ethan Sossen on today's show began his college career as a member of the Fort Hays State program.
Yeah, I don't have quite as much familiarity with Fort Hays other than a pretty cool trip that we had out there in 2017, and one of the most fun games that I think we've ever had a chance to call when we got that big win over Fort Hays. Rob, of course, has a little bit more intimate knowledge right there, being a Kearney guy, and great rivalry there.
Of course, it was nice to get a win over them back in 2017 in the Division II playoffs. I think they were the number one seed in the region at the time, or very close to it when we went there, and it really handled the Fort Hays State team.
And as we remember, we were a program on the rise at that point. We had played really well in 2016 and started to emerge in terms of being on the national picture. 2017 kind of took another step, and then 2018, that's when the program really took off.
Going around the country, other games this week, Texas Permian Basin will be at Sul Ross, Southwest Baptist at Truman State. Also games from outside of the league, Augustana will be at Bemidji State. Central Missouri playing host to Missouri Southern, so still an outside chance for Central Missouri maybe to make the playoffs. They probably need some help, maybe with an Indianapolis loss to really have a solid chance, but they're right there on the bubble.
Yeah, the tough thing for Indianapolis with earned access, they'd have to take a pretty big fall, but you never know. Stranger things have happened.
Central Oklahoma will take on Emporia State. That's another game that's capable of really changing the dynamic here in the region. Central Oklahoma still in the top four, but maybe not playing as well as they were earlier in the year.
Yeah, and Emporia State, don't sleep on them just because they've slipped a little bit toward the end of the year. That is one where Central Oklahoma is going to have to be on alert.
Colorado Mines will host Fort Lewis. Colorado State Pueblo at Chadron State. Also around the country this week, other games involving teams in the nation. Southwest Minnesota at Sioux Falls. Pittsburgh State at Northwest Missouri. Big game when Pittsburgh State a lot on the line in that contest.
Dangerous game for Pittsburgh State taking on Northwest Missouri. Northwest Missouri, of course, just a program with a great tradition, and you don't want to get caught sleeping there if you're Pittsburgh State.
Western Colorado will be at Colorado Mesa. Harding playing host to Arkansas Tech this week. And other games here as we wrap it up. Western Oregon will be at Central Washington. You've got West Texas A&M at Angelo State. And then a big game, Valdosta State playing host to West Florida down in the Gulf South.
Yeah, does West Florida have enough? Valdosta State been putting up a ton of points this year, and maybe some people are questioning the strength of schedule right now, but they certainly had a chance to make a big statement with West Florida.
Of course, Ferris State again, number one in Super Region 3. The Bulldogs will try to hold on to that number one ranking in the Super Region 3 area once the final game of the regular season is complete on Saturday. We'll be back with more of the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show after this timeout. And welcome back, everyone, to our final segment here of the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show, presented by Two Hats Ranch. Rob Bentley and Sandy Golston with you as the Bulldogs get ready for the final game of the regular season. Ferris State hosting the Davenport Panthers. 9th series matchup coming up on Saturday at Top Taggart Field.
You know, Davenport's been such a great addition to the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, and you know, besides bringing us another football school, besides being in a strong market for the GLIAC, they've been competitive across the board. And so, you know, we expect more of the same. And Sparky McEwen's done a great job with that program, building that program up, taking that program to the national level, getting them in the playoffs, you know. And so, you know, you expect that this is going to be another good game, and we've formalized the rivalry now, and so that just adds another subplot to it.
Of course, you mentioned Sparky McEwen, a Ferris State alum, played here at Ferris State from 1987 to 1990, and I remember when Coach McEwen was here as an assistant coach at Ferris State. He came down to my office that was in the basement at the time, not where we're recording our show here today, and always wanted to check his stats. Not only did he have offensive stats and defensive stats, he had special team stats. He kind of played multiple positions during his Ferris State career.
Well, he was like a Brady Rose back in the day right there. Coach McEwen, shout out to Coach McEwen, a really good player for the Bulldogs back in the day, and you know, and then just a tremendous coaching career, and great work that he's done at Davenport, and just a great human being.
Of course, I know a lot of respect between Ferris State and Davenport in terms of the coaching staffs. He was an assistant under Coach Anise here at Ferris State, and really helped build the Bulldog program into what it is as a national contender. I think he left after that 2018 season or somewhere right around there. So certainly he's been a big part of the success that the Bulldogs were able to establish here at Ferris State.
Yeah, he's a significant part of it, you know, coming in and the work that he was doing to help get this program established. And you think of the heights that this program has gone to, and you know, Sparky was right there at the beginning to help build that. We've talked a little bit about Ryan Brady and what he did, contributing to the program and helping that to get going. And so that Ferris State coaching tree has expanded and has produced some really great head coaches. Of course, Sparky McEwen among them.
Of course, the Bulldogs and the Panthers, we mentioned ninth series matchup, Ferris State 8-0 all-time against Davenport. But this will be the sixth meeting since 2021, so these two teams have really gotten to know each other very well. Here with a couple playoff matchups among some of the other games that have taken place. I think 1 year we played them twice. 1 year we played them twice, including once in the playoffs. So these two teams have played each other a number of times here in the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, and I think it's really added to that rivalry, and then having a chance to really formalize that rivalry, I think it's just only natural that we would do that. And so that just makes it even more exciting because these are two schools, two programs, two coaching staffs with a tremendous amount of respect for each other. And we've had some other former Ferris State people that have been on the staff with Coach McEwen. And so it's just really just a natural progression that this rivalry continues to get going. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the fans.
Of course, last year, the first top 10 matchup between these two teams ever, won by Ferris State 28-10 down in Caledonia. You go back to 2022, the last time these teams played in Big Rapids, the Bulldogs defeated Davenport 28-7. I believe that was in the final week of the regular season or right around there. And they turned right back around and played Davenport in the first round of the playoffs, and Ferris State won it 41-7. A couple competitive games though between Ferris State and Davenport back in 2022.
Yeah, that was awkward. A couple of games like they're so close to each other, but that happens. That can happen sometimes with the playoffs. But Ferris State has played well, but Davenport plays us tough, and they want to come out there, and they know that Ferris State is one of the teams that's at the top of the conference. They know Grand Valley's up there, and they know Saginaw Valley is up there traditionally, and Davenport's getting their elbows out, and they're trying to make some room for themselves, and they've done a tremendous job of that. You mentioned getting into the playoffs, which is no small feat, and they're really making a name for themselves.
Of course, coming up this weekend, Ferris State Athletics action. The Bulldog volleyball team will be on the road. They have a chance to win the outright GLIAC championship with a couple matches at Purdue Northwest and Parkside, currently 26-0, also ranked number 1 in the nation. The Bulldog hockey team will be at Lake Superior on Friday. We'll have coverage here on Sunny 97.3. Brody Kaiser on the call. Saturday night, that'll be game 2 of our doubleheader as they take on the Lakers at the Superior Ice Showdown up in Traverse City. That'll be a 5:30 pregame show with 6:07 puck drop on Saturday night. Following Bulldog football, we'll have women's basketball on the internet and on Flow Sports on Saturday night. Home opener for head coach Kurt Westendorp and the Bulldogs, who are off to a 3-1 start. They'll host Great Lakes Christian at 7 p.m. And the men's basketball team, of course, a Wednesday night matchup against Lewis. They're off to a 3-1 start. They will be at McKendree on Saturday night, so we look forward to kind of following their action as they hit the road before they return home next week.
Yeah, just so much great action going on, and this is, again, we're still in crossover season right now, so lots of things still going or some things still going with our fall sports, and our winter sports are really getting it going. And boy, I'm excited about the start for both of our basketball teams. They're really playing some good basketball here early in the season. They get some tough competition, and so that's setting the stage for what could be a really fun season. But there's some big tests ahead for both the men and women, not only in GLIAC, which we expect, but also in non-conference play.
Of course, we'll set the stage on Saturday for Bulldog football, 12 p.m. pregame show, kickoff 1 o'clock at Top Taggart Field as the Panthers come to town for the regular season finale. A 2-trophy game, the Culver City Classic trophy on the line for the first time ever between these two West Michigan rivals. And, of course, the GLIAC championship on the line as well for Ferris State. Could have a couple trophy presentations following the game, especially if Ferris State is able to win the game. We're going to have probably the Culver City Classic presentation regardless of who wins. But if the Bulldogs win the game, then obviously a GLIAC championship presentation as well.
Yeah, it could be a double celebration, but the Bulldogs have a lot of work ahead of them. But there could be a lot of celebrating if Ferris State can take care of business here. And, I think both will feel really sweet to really, again, formalize this rivalry with Davenport, and then, of course, for the Bulldogs to reclaim the GLIAC championship if they're able to get a win.
Of course, we'll have all the coverage for you, not only of Saturday's game, but then the announcements coming up on Sunday at ferrisstatebulldogs.com when the Division II playoff field is announced. Late Sunday afternoon, I believe, is the time of the selection show, and obviously the Bulldogs planned to be in the playoffs for a 10th consecutive year, but you never do know. You don't want to take anything for granted, and it really is a playoff season here, a one game at a time type mentality.
It really is. Playoff season is here, and this is a time to get even more excited. You know, we're deep into Bulldog Blitz, and it doesn't feel like we've done as many as we have, but here we are coming toward the end of the regular season and looking ahead to the playoffs. And this is the time where you want to be fine-tuning things and you want to be playing your best ball.
We hope to be back next week with the playoff edition here of the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show, and hopefully on a bye week. A lot going on next week with Bulldog basketball, GLIAC volleyball tournament potentially being hosted here at Ferris State as well. So could really use a bye in terms of all the action that's taking place, and really a bye would be big for this team to get healthy for a playoff push. And if Ferris State can secure that number 1 seed in Super Region 3, that means the playoff field to a national championship runs right through Top Taggart Field.
It really does, and nobody's going to turn down a bye week, and because a bye week is not just an opportunity to sharpen some things, to get some recovery time, get some treatment, focus on some other things that you need to focus on, but it's a badge of honor because it means that you've earned the top spot in your region, and that's nothing to sneeze at. So hopefully the Bulldogs will be able to get that done and get that bye week.
Of course, fans, you can get all your tickets, your parking online, ferrisstatebulldogs.com/tickets. Buy your parking pass earlier, along with, of course, your game tickets. Again, had beverage sales this past weekend at the Ferris State game. That'll continue this week. And some great reasons to come out, support the Bulldogs, and hopefully cheer on this team to a victory on Senior Day.
Yeah, Bulldogs are looking to have all fans on deck to come out and cheer on the Bulldogs here. This is a championship opportunity for Ferris State, and this is something that you should never take for granted. I don't think our fans do, and I think our fans will be ready to come out and support the Bulldogs at Top Taggart.
Big thanks goes out to Steve Masters at the Sunny 97.3 studios, Brody Kaiser for all his production work here all year long on the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show. Thanks to our guest, Ethan Sossen, who joined us here today to talk about the Ferris State football program. Of course, all of our advertising partners as well, including Two Hats Ranch, the presenting sponsor here of the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show. And Sandy, great to have you on. Look forward to the call on Saturday, noon pregame show with the Johnson Automotive pregame show from the Wheeler Pavilion, followed by the opening kick at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm excited to get out there. And again, Ferris State Davenport's just always been a fun game, and going to be even a little bit more fun, but also a great opportunity for the Bulldogs to celebrate a championship if they can get it done.
This has been the Bulldog Blitz Football Radio Show, presented by Two Hats Ranch. Thanks for tuning in. And a reminder, you can follow all the action of Ferris State football online at ferrisstatebulldogs.com.